Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pillar to Post. I am Rashawn Aline, and I'm joined as always by Kobe Hamling. And we are going to be recapping the first day of the third racing season, which was the Welcome Back Race Day, and it featured the Welcome Back Handicap. And Kobe, it was a very competitive race day to start off the third season.
Yeah, Rashawn, I must say. And hi, everyone. Let me start first of all. And I am so satisfied to have something to do with my Saturdays again. My Saturdays feel so empty on this long break, and it feels like forever. It's 6 to 8 weeks, but it feels like an eternity. And you know what, Rashawn? I was so happy to come back and immediately be greeted with some new faces at the track, some horses I've been seeing working in the morning, and I can't tell you who they are. But these are all important 2 year olds who are now having their first chance, and they had their first race this past Saturday. And Mystic Adventure, our second favorite, well, he did what you'd expect him to do, a second favorite, and he ran and beat them. 3/4 length winner to Soli Levant. Hopefully, I did not ruin that name. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that. But this second horse actually is what caught my eye. Actually, running into traffic late, a bit green, and that's perfectly okay. But that caught my eye, Rashawn. But you made some comments about Mystic Adventure that I didn't even think about.
No, this horse was very impressive winning first time out, and I I I was first shocked. Let's say you said he was the second favorite, the favorite Milma, who was the only one in the field without a start. Not getting to the lead was very shocking, and Mystic Adventure now, apart from that, had a really good trip. He's by a sire called Gervin, who was really good with his juveniles. And what was weird for me is that I think at so many points of this race, I thought a different horse was going to win. I thought Awesome Mike at one point would wire the way he ran out. Etta James ran up to Awesome Mike, and ultimately she flattened out. Solar Levant, as you mentioned, with 116 pounds, made such a big move. And this is a horse you definitely want to note. But Mystic Adventure just sitting, third. Pounce when called upon by Lopez with 128 pounds and to finish in 105. And I think that's what makes this, so impressive, to start because Nostradasa later on the card runs 105. So we talked about it in the preview show where some of these might be in the Gold Cup conversation as late 3 year olds next year. And maybe Mr. Adventure might be the one, but this was an impressive win first out.
Yeah, and don't even just say Gold Cup. Some of them may just stick to sprinting. And as you said, running 105 and change on a first start. I have to look at the Spa Sprint, next year. Maybe he can replicate what Sir Jimmy did. But that's all to be seen. But let's move on to the local 2 year olds where Ultrasound at 7-5 defeated the field. And, Rashawn, the same horse that you ridiculed me for, Atara, at 13-1, almost spoiled the show.
No, at that point, I picked Ariel, so ultrasound winning is obviously me still losing, but I definitely needed ultrasound to get home in the final furlong because it was nerve-wracking for how stern and obstinate I was against Atara to see how she ran so huge. That was definitely a big improvement from her. Ultrasound I want to respect. Like, let's be clear. This is the leading 2 year old in the country right now, and I still think Ariel is the better horse. Again, I don't think Ariel is coming along as physically as fast as I'd like. I think she's still very thick and can get fitter. But Ultrasound puts himself in the race really well. He has that speed. And Ariel not only is a couple lengths behind, but obviously behind other foes. So I think when she gets going, she covers a lot of ground, gets close to Ultrasound in no time. And the margin of defeat, I think, could have been a little less, or even she could have won because she runs up the rail and then things get tight late. But don't take anything away from Ultrasound, who's probably going to be our BTBA juvenile favorite at the end of the month.
As he very much so should be, Rashawn. And a horse I took from this field was actually Aspire. Aspire, when called upon, was able to put 2-3 lengths in the field, and she wasn't able to finish as confidently as I'd like her to. She was a bit green at the top of the stretch. She's switching leads consistently, and she blew the turn a bit, but I'm always looking at that horse as not the favorite to see what they can do. And I think Aspire is the horse I'm going to keep my eyes on.
I also wanted to mention Dapper David because now with the juvenile coming up with Ultrasound, Dapper David to me has the most impressive 2 year old performance so far. Obviously, it's a small sample, but I hope he's going to make it in the classic in November. Not the classic, the juvenile, getting ahead of myself, in later November, so he can line up against Ultrasound. But as I dismissed Atara, we're going to move on to a race that was won by a filly that you completely dismissed, and I dismissed the maiden, 2-year-old maiden. You dismissed the most exciting, probably the best Creole in Barbados right now, and that was Nostradasa, who won the play part handicap. And she sprinted, and just like the route races that we've come to see over the summer, no one got close.
And I'm not sure. I'm not sorry for not picking her. I am always going to defy the odds. I'm always going to try to find an underdog to defeat the favorite, and that's not going to change in this race. Congrats to the connections. Of course, I'm very impressed by this effort from the horse. This is her first time winning sprinting, I think, since she was 2 or maybe early 3. I think she had another sprint with Anissa where she was defeated, but she returned like she never left. She outpaced this class. She probably had about a length, 2, maybe 3 the entire trip. Showtime was never able to get on par with her. The closers were never able to catch her. This horse went for a paid workout. And as you can see, this is how it's been, whether she's gone 7, 9, 10, or even 5 now.
No, this performance was impressive. And as you said, the closers weren't able to get close. Showtime, who's fast in her own right, couldn't keep pace. And Queen of the South and Bahari Cove, I feel like we're just towed along because Lovely and Paper Trail were never able to get into the race just because of the natural pace that Nostradasa was setting. And I would give Paper Trail and Lovely another chance out of this spot. But also what is interesting, I want some food for thought here, Colby. This now opens the options for Nostradasa because with the Tanglewood moving to January, she can go in the Tanglewood.
I don't want to hear anything about the spa. I don't want to hear anything about the spa. I want to see her in the Gold Cup.
I mean, I want to see her in the Gold Cup.
I
want to see her in the Gold Cup too. But now with a performance like this, who is she supposed to be afraid of? Her options are very, very open when it comes to what she's going to do in March. And it's going to be exciting to see what she does, at least for the rest of the year. She's going to probably line up in the Classic. Does she go to Boxing Day, Tanglewood? Like, what? The sky's the limit for this filly. And I think hopefully your people, start respecting her a little bit more because she is good.
But exactly what you said is what goes through my mind when I think of Nostradasa. Who is she supposed to be afraid of? Unless we decide to bring graded horses from the States. And usually we really don't. Right. Who is she supposed to be afraid of? Let's go for gold. She's gone. No. She's won the Guineas. She's won the Derby. She's won. She's just won open class sprinting. She's about to go into the Classic at the end of this month. Maybe she's going to face the A class in December. There's a possibility of the Tanglewood in January. I still don't see any race where she should be backing down from the challenge. I think she should go with. I think she should go with all guns blazing. This horse is amazing, and I'd love to see her at her absolute best.
Yeah, I think that I just need her to stay sound because she's very electrifying, and she really has that light to racing. And we talk about the Classics probably next for her. Her biggest competitors are probably horses that ran on the day, like Phil Morris, who dropped in class and beat Valiant early on the card. That you give
maybe Undisputed. We can add to that, I think.
Yeah, and then we can move on to the final race that had Aries in it, where Aries finished second behind new import Warbe. And again, that's a race that probably Aries will build off of to go to the Classic, and Warbe is probably going to build off that to look to go Boxing Day probably or the JB Simpson Classic, but. Warbe is a horse that I wanted to wait and see, but this was also another impressive first start in Barbados for Warbe.
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily tested because when you look through the field, these horses aren't necessarily mile horses. Sir Jimmy, who's had majority of his success sprinting, Miss Anya, who's yet to get local success, and Aries, who is a placed horse in the Tanglewood. I'm not so sure. I think that was his biggest enemy, was really Warbe versus Aries, and the two of them round 1-2. Warbe, who gave away 20 odd pounds and still dismissed Aries in confident fashion. That was a little bit mind-blowing. Let's see where Warbe is able to go, because if he's able to dismiss a horse of Aries caliber, and we have, let's say, a handful of horses above him, I think the sky is also the limit for Warbe, but he probably needs some kind of pace to run onto, because as you can see, he's a closer.
Yeah, I think two things. The pace, I can see the way that he finished this race. If he got some pace, that he would be dangerous, because if these posted fractions are correct, they ran the mile in 1:16. He finished in 1:36. So to do a final furlong and then 1.8 furlongs, sorry, they ran 3/4 of a mile in 1:16 and then finished in 1:36. So in 16 In 20 seconds, that is an insane finish from him when he was called upon. And then his biggest enemy, I felt like, was probably himself. Because if you go to watch the replay on the Barbados Turf Club's website, you'll see that the video starts like 3 minutes in because he refused to load. As you can see him coming up the stretch, this sweat is not from the race. He completely washed out, worked himself up so much before the race, and then proceeded to beat Aries by, what was it?
I think it was about 4 lengths, wasn't it?
Beat Aries by 4 lengths, giving him 20 something pounds. So if this horse can keep a lid on himself and be mentally focused, I wouldn't be surprised that he goes up the ladder, which he did. He got promoted to 109 pounds. I picked Sir Jimmy thinking he could be loose and dictate. Miss Anya was kind of loose and dictated, and it just did not matter to Warbe. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls amongst the three from Gay Smith and the Creoles that will probably try to take them on. But this was a pretty good start for Warbe.
Yeah, I'd also love to see him running into a hot pace like what Nostradasa could put down. Probably the only other horse that would be able to give those fractions. She's unfortunately not with us anymore. She has a passed away, don't get me wrong. She's just not in the island anymore. This is Zazie. Good luck to her and her connections as she travels overseas. That's what she can do. But I just can't reiterate enough. I can't wait until Nostradasa goes against not just open company, but imported company as well. I think we're missing a superhero in horse racing, and I think Nostradasa is stepping up to the plate.
No, yeah. I share all those sentiments, and it's going to be exciting to see how we continue to progress through the third season, leading into Boxing Day, leading into the Gold Cup. So the next race day is actually the JB Simpson, so we might see Warbe resurface. I think Portfolio Company and Jerry the Nipper are going to be there as well. So it's going to be a very interesting competitive race lining up next race day, November 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's correct.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that. And we're going to see how the rest of the chips fall at the end of the season. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to Pillar to Post. As always, this was the Welcome Back Race Day recap. Pretty exciting day. Warbe, Nostradasa, Mystic, Adventure, names that you're probably going to hear throughout the rest of the season and into next year. And as always, may all your tickets be winning ones.